You're listening to the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. Today we're talking about some tips and tricks to make the most of your Carnival cruise vacation. Welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this is because we basically just came off of a Carnival cruise. So I figured that your head would be filled with Carnival knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm. And good memories from Carnival Miracle. What a great ship.
So what I did is I prepared like an outline, and I'm just going to hit you with
Great.
with
your
my,
rhythm stick?
With my questions for you or topics and see how well you cover them. So for all you listeners out there, she doesn't have any.
I thought you just said you weren't going to put me on the spot.
You
said I'm going to hit you with these and see how well you handle them.
Well,
okay, I'm just kidding.
Because I'm completely confident that they're going to be a breeze for you.
A breeze.
A breeze.
See? And after that, you can come to my house for a jubilee.
Oh boy. We're off to. Okay, so what
We're
I've
off
done,
to a corny start.
Let me tell you what you're in for.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I've got basically 5 segments for you.
Okay.
The first segment is going to be like pre-cruise.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of go through the whole cruise here.
Cool.
Okay?
I like it. Mm-hmm.
We're going to do embarkation day next.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then onboard kind of money saving tips.
Ooh. Okay.
And then, kind of ship secrets is going to be another one. There's not a lot there, but
sure.
Things that are, people may not know. If they've been on other lines, they may not know this.
Okay.
And then finally, like excursions.
Okay.
And then maybe like some quick tips or something at the end.
Okay. Sounds good.
Think you can handle that?
I think I can handle it. You said you had a fun outline for the day. We found, you guys, that these Mr. Cruise Tips TV surprises me with an outline episodes are actually kind of fun because I don't overthink it all that much, and he just kind of I don't know. He, like he said, he likes to put me to the test.
Okay, so the first segment was pre-planning.
Yeah.
So do you have any kind of insight on booking strategies?
Ooh, well, I mean, you can think about like the time that you might book a Carnival cruise, right? And I think your travel agent's probably going to have the best advice on this, but I think there's some sweet spots.
Wait, so is your answer ask someone else?
Ask your travel agent. No, but always rely on your travel agent when it comes down to booking things. That's always something to lean on them for. But I think that there's a couple of things. I think with Carnival, just like any other cruise line, taking advantage of the shoulder season is a really good idea, right? So not cruising during peak times. If you want to avoid some crowds and things like that can be a great idea. So sometimes the shoulder season for Carnival, just in general, can be like September through November, excluding Thanksgiving, of course, right? Because guess what happens right around that time? Kids go back to school. So you have this lull right after the kids go back to school, and you know what you see? This massive price drop especially for Carnival. I've noticed it. If I were to go look at like Carnival Jubilee out of Galveston in August, let's just give it an example of a 7-night cruise. It might be $3,600 for a family of 3 for a week in August, and then you get to middle of September, that puppy's going to go down to like $2,200. So again, I'm just giving a silly example, but that can be a really good booking strategy for Carnival. The other thing that you can do is talk to your travel agent. If you have the ability to cruise at a little bit of the last minute, like for example, if you are, maybe you just have a little bit of flexibility with your work, or maybe you could ask for time off like 3 months in advance. I mean short notice by like a couple of months. One good strategy for Carnival is to look at final payment date. Ask your travel agent, what is the final payment date for Carnival? I think it's 90 days. I'm not sure. But at that time, if there's a cruise that you have your eye on, what happens at final payment is that a lot of people back out of the cruise. So the cruise line has to put that inventory right back up for sale, and you might find some sneaky deals where the cruise might have looked booked up or kind of expensive before the 90-day point. If you look at exactly 90 days or whenever the final payment date is before sailing, when people would normally have to pay for the cruise, the rest of the cruise in full at final payment, you might find that there's some good little values there. So I think that's a little bit of a tip for Carnival.
So the basic strategy is first check with your travel agent. Mm-hmm. But then you want to either book super early.
Yeah, that could
like
be a good tip.
12 to 18 months out,
yeah.
or kind of last minute, like 60 to 90 days.
I think that's always a good idea, although I think with Carnival too, whenever you can find a good deal or whenever you know that the dates exactly that you want to go on the cruise, that is a good time to book it.
But then shoulder season is kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, I feel like there's just some really good deals out there. You know, they're going to get, there are still discounts on Carnival cruises, and you're going to find them when school is back in session. Usually that's the case, right? So as soon as summer ends, there's going to be a nice little dip. Also, December before the holidays, that can be a really great time to cruise on Carnival, and it can be less expensive. And then, you know, you start getting into months like January, February, when people are freezing cold wherever they live, just like we are. It's snowing in Texas today. It's literally not gotten over 23 degrees, and it's February. Everybody's cold. They're trying to leave and go somewhere warm. So January and February, sometimes you'll see the prices spike again, but I think that those are some sweet spots. But yeah, when to book, it's up to you. I think when you book is when you know exactly when you want to travel. When you have the date carved out and you're pretty fairly certain that that is the week that you want to go on your cruise, that's when you book it.
So there's a lot of things to consider, but what if somebody were just thinking in terms of price?
You mean like when to book? Oh, I think that final payment strategy is probably going to be your best bet for securing the best deals. And also you'll get some better cabin inventory then in terms of like when to book the cruise. But in terms of seasonality, I mean, it depends on where you're going, right? I mean, if you're going to Alaska, you want those really early season and really late season deals. Like, so April, May, and September, October, if they even have them. But for like the Caribbean, for example, your best deals are going to be like, honestly, it's probably during hurricane season. You know? Yeah,
like I said, there's a lot of things to consider, and we could probably do a whole episode on trying to save money. But what do you think about like email alerts and signing up for newsletters?
Yeah.
And is there any benefit with the VIFP thing? Is there anything?
Sure. The VIFP club?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to make sure that you've joined the VIFP club. I think you probably get automatically enrolled in that with most cruise lines. You'll get a VIFP newsletter, and if you have a rep, if you've ever worked with a personal vacation planner, a PVP at Carnival, they might also personally email you deals and things. And I'm pretty sure that Carnival has some sort of software tracking where when they see you on the website, your PVP gets notified. So I have a PVP. She's really cool. But I noticed this trend of anytime I would get on and start searching on the Carnival website, usually within 2 to 3 days, I would get either a call or an email from her saying, you know, just thinking about you. And it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. I was just on the Carnival website. And I think that they know. I think that they have some sort of an alert built into their system that where the PVP gets notified, hey, you got a fish on here. Reel them in. So that might be the case. But yeah, signing up for the emails is always a good idea. And checking with Carnival, you want to log in and check your VIFP club offers and benefits. Because sometimes in the Carnival website, you may have those member-only benefits. They're hard to find. They're honestly quite rare. But they're there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as part of the pre-cruise planning, you have to pick a cabin. So what's your best advice for getting the right cabin? I know there's a lot of variables here, and again, we could probably do a whole episode on this, but
right.
Do you have any quick tips for finding a cabin?
Sure. So Carnival has interesting cabin selections. So they have some different cabin categories than some other cruises. They just call them different things. Like they have their standard cabins, like balcony cabins on the standard decks, like the middle of the ship to the top of the ship decks. Then they have, on some of their ships, they have what are called cove balconies that are low down in the ship, usually like deck 1, 2. And the balcony, instead of having like being fully open to the sea, it almost looks kind of like a cutout metal porthole thing. So you're more protected from the elements and the sunshine and stuff. So if you think you might like being down kind of closer to the sea and you want to save money, cove balconies can be cheaper.
And that's also where what is it called?
The family harbor on some ships are low down. And so you're way down there. Now, this is also a good tip for people who get motion sickness. So Carnival, being down in those cove balconies or down on a lower deck, midship could be a really good motion sickness strategy. Another thing Carnival has that's really cool is they have spa cabins, spa balconies. And those are wonderful. Those are going to, generally speaking, they're going to be located up near the spa. And so you'll get some spa perks, probably some discounts on spa amenities, access to the thermal suite, and access to potentially some special amenities in your stateroom. But for a lot of people, it's nice for them to be in a more adult area of the cruise ship. Now, I believe kids are allowed to stay there because we've stayed in the spa cabins with Junior, but you're going to find there's fewer kids up there. And it's peaceful and nice, and it's kind of an optimal place on the ship to be that high and near the spa. I love those.
Very cool.
Now, very cool. The other thing, though, is you have to think about if you want like a Havana experience. So Havana, I'm trying to get you to.
Now you're
going to get the song stuck in your head.
It's stuck in my head now.
Mr. CruiseTipsTV has a dirty little secret.
Well, no, it's not that dirty. It's just probably the most catchy song of 2024.
That song's way older than 2024. My love.
I mean, I was exposed to it in 2024.
Yeah,
okay?
He loves. Well, I don't want you to get mad at me here, but
too many secrets.
He definitely does like that Havana song. So anyway. If you want to get a Havana cabana or get a stateroom in there.
I think that whole thing was like a cruel joke, though, because it just showed up in my mix.
I know. And you're like, what is this song? I like it.
And, I immediately rushed to change it and go, well, maybe I'll just listen to it a little bit.
A little Camila
just
Cabello.
A little bit.
Cabello never hurt anyone.
So catchy. Anyway, so catchy. You were saying.
It is. I forgot. Oh, we were talking about the Havana area, right? So Havana cabanas, Havana suites, Havana staterooms are also kind of different, right? They have their own private pool deck. They have their own private, well, it's not really a private bar. Other people can go to the bar. But they have sometimes some premium aft real estate for this little private pool. And those cabins actually tend to sell out. So if you want to get a Havana, you're going to want to do that early. And that, I believe kids have to be 15 and up to stay there, which is an interesting age. I remember thinking that's weird. Why 15? Why not like 16, 12? It's like 15. So if you have kids over the age of 15, you can book a Havana stateroom. Now, whether you book a Havana cabana, which are the ones that you have like a little terrace in front of you, but then there's like a walkway in front of that. It's a communal walkway. I personally would hate that. If I'm going to have a balcony, I don't want it to be like a cabana in front of my cabin. I want it to look out on the sea, right, out on the ocean.
You have people walking by.
Yeah, you could have people walking by
and looking in.
It's weird. I mean, and I'm sure it's just cabana people. It's not public, right? But still, I don't like those cabins. However, some of the Havana suites can be like an aft face that are premium, and honestly, they're very hard to get. So, if you want to get a Havana room, make sure that you book early. That would be a tip for Carnival.
Okay, one last tip before we move on. Or not tip, but question for you. What if you want to hear the sound of deck chairs scraping across the floor at like 4 a.m. in the morning?
Right, you're looking for that experience.
What cabin do you pick if you want to hear that sound?
So like you get too much sleep and you just really want less sleep.
You want to be woken up at 4 in the morning. Yes,
violently.
with scraping sounds. All
right, well then that way you would book your cabin right under the pool deck.
The Lido.
That's how you would do.
Advice.
Right. So do that. No, actually, guys, honestly, that is one of the worst places you can book. And I'll tell you, I've been on some premium cruise ships. Like Princess is a premium cruise line, right? We booked underneath a pool deck on Princess one time and thought we'd be okay. Like, that's Princess. What's going to be happening at the pool deck? Well, they're putting away the pool chairs. And then, worse yet, they're bringing them back out in the morning, early morning hours, like, you guys, seriously, like pre-dawn hours. So use caution. It's not all about kids running and trompling and those sounds, trompling from the pool deck. The chair scrape is probably one of the most annoying sounds on a cruise, like when you're trying to sleep. Good call, hon. Good call.
Yeah, I have to know.
Avoid, yes. Yeah. But if you wanted to,
All right, so let's move on from cabins now.
Great.
Now we're going to be talking about embarkation day, because embarkation day, it really sets the tone for the cruise. I mean, it's like everything's out in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If it's good, then it's going to be great.
Yes.
Right?
It's going to be great.
All right. So what kind of advice can you give, or general tips for embarkation day on Carnival?
First, I think download the app. You want to start with that. Make sure you've got the Carnival Hub app ready to rock. And then do your registration early when you can, and you get to pick your arrival time when you do that. Mark your calendar, set that calendar for that very earliest time that you can register and check in for your cruise, and do that and check, pick your boarding time that you'd like. And then on the boarding day itself, I would say wake up, take a nice deep breath, have a good healthy breakfast, take your time, take it slow, get into the mood early, maybe book a hotel on your embarkation day that has a nice included breakfast, so you can start your day with a good, healthy breakfast before you're in this like rush of getting to the ship, And then I would say print off those luggage tags that you need to put onto your suitcases, get some little luggage tag covers for them, and get all your boarding documents ready. Maybe print off your boarding pass just in case, although I think you might be able to use the Hub app these days. Do we do paper boarding passes for Carnival? Can't remember. But I think that's probably the best thing. And then what about when you get to the terminal? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Well, before you get too far away from it, I'm going to say that having a good breakfast, that's good advice for many reasons.
Yeah, I think so.
But one of the most important is when you get on that ship, everyone is going to be rushing to the buffet.
Right.
But if you've had a good breakfast, you might be able to hold off, maybe head to the pool or a bar or something like that until that initial crowd dies down.
Yes.
Because unless you like walking around with your tray in your hand looking for a table, it's going to be crowded.
However, I want to say this.
Say this, please.
If you're one of those people who's the earliest to board, like so let's just say you got a 10:30 boarding time. Okay. And you're like the first on the ship. You're in the first 100, 200 people. Knock yourself out, man. Go to the buffet. It'll be beautiful. It'll be clean. There'll be nobody there. But it gets ugly fast. And so you have this period of time, usually when there's just like the great majority of everyone who is getting on that ship is at the buffet. If you don't hit the sweet spot of early or late, it's kind of yucky. And it can be a little bit unpleasant. And typically the buffet calms way down after the first day.
After like 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, after, and maybe even like first, it just depends on when boarding starts. But after 2, but you also have to look at the open times, make sure that you're not going to be, left without it. I think what we did on our first day, because we kind of ran into that crowd issue, is we ended up just getting Guy's Burgers. And it was great. So getting a Guy's Burger alternative to the buffet, or maybe like a little combination of something from the buffet and a Guy's Burger. I think we like to do salad bar and a Guy's Burger. That was also another favorite combination of ours. You could do that too.
Yeah, I mean, Guy's Burgers is great. Sometimes you can run into a big line there too. You just never know.
It depends on the ship too. Some ships it's really popular, and others it's just, you never get more than 20 people in the line or 5 people in the line, So I never saw Guys with more than 10 people in the line when we were there.
On Miracle.
On Carnival Miracle. Yeah. Very specific, small ship, niche itineraries too. It kind of does longer itineraries, does longer Caribbean runs. It does Panama Canal runs. So it might be a little bit unusual, but there's always workarounds. Every ship has hacks and workarounds that are different from one another.
Yeah, so I guess the general tip is you're not going to be able to get into your room.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on when you get on. Mm-hmm. The buffet may be crowded.
Yeah.
So plan for a plan B.
Yeah.
If your plan A is head to the buffet, be ready for plan B, which may be check out Guy's Burgers, or what is the taco place?
Blue Iguana.
Blue Iguana. Mm-hmm.
If they're open.
Or like I said, head to the pool.
Yeah.
Because the pool is typically not crowded.
Right.
Initially.
Because nobody really has their swimsuits with them. Their swimsuits are in their suitcase. Which leads us to another tip. A, make sure you have a little bag with you that has your essentials in it. B, if you want to swim and go in the hot tub when it's not crowded, consider packing your swimsuit. And, C, don't plan on getting into your room until at least 1 or 1:30. There's some exceptions to that. There's cruise lines that let you in later. There's cruise lines that let you in earlier. But generally speaking, they need a little extra time. And right when you board is not going to be that time. So, yeah.
Good. So we're on board now. Let's talk about, and this one could be difficult because I know a lot of things have changed. If I asked you this question 2 years ago, you'd probably have like 5 things you could tell me.
Okay.
I'm talking about saving money on board.
Yeah.
And since the shutdown for COVID, they've had to try and institute new things to recoup some of this. So now you can't get anything you want in terms of room service or ordering more than one entree. Like you can't get 2 lobsters or anything.
Yeah.
But do you have any money saving tips?
Yeah. I think Carnival does let you have 2 entrees, by the way, but not 3. I think that they charge you for the 3rd one, but maybe not 2 lobsters. Anyway, yeah, I do. And the first thing I think that people need to examine is, number 1, the drink package on Carnival is not always the best value for you. It's not the best value necessarily on any cruise line unless you know that you're going to drink enough to make it worth it. It's expensive. And now that they include all their taxes and fees in their upfront price, I think it's $82 per person per day. If you have one non-drinker in your cabin or a light drinker in your cabin, both adults are forced to buy the package. Are you going to drink between the 2 of you more than $160 a day worth of alcohol and beverages?
There is math involved with the drink packages, and it's not the same for all cruise lines.
Right.
In fact, you have to refer to Einstein's theory of drink packages. And it's complicated.
Is it? Do you want to share what his theory is on that?
It's too complicated. It would be an entirely separate episode.
Separate podcast.
But there are things like room service breakfast.
Yeah, they're free still. Yeah. I think they do have some complimentary items like that, like some continental breakfast items. We were talking about money saving. Okay, so number 1, the first thing is the drink package may not be worth it. Don't hesitate to buy drinks with cash on Carnival. I just did it. I did not buy a drink package. I bought an average of 2 drinks a day, and that was a spend of probably like $26, $28 a day. That's a heck of a lot cheaper, you guys, than $160 a day. Yeah, we had to buy bottled water. Yeah, we bought 3 coffees a day for our family. Yes, I did. I went down there and I spent $12 a day on coffee. But still, it came out to be so much cheaper. So do not assume that the drink package is right for everyone.
And you talked about how if one person in the cabin...
Yeah, they don't make exceptions. If you don't drink, you cannot get an exception on Carnival for a non-drinker. For example, on Royal Caribbean, they do have an exception where the non-drinker can buy the Royal Refreshment package, which is exceptionally less expensive than the drink package, the alcohol package. So at least you have a workaround on Royal Caribbean. Also, though, on Royal Caribbean, the drinks are really expensive to buy individually. So you end up regretting not having a drink package pretty quickly if you don't have enough status to get free drinks, which a lot of people in Royal Caribbean have worked their way up to getting free drinks. So, and you can't, not unlimited free drinks, but a good set of vouchers per day. And so anyway, I'm distracting from the topic.
No, you're
Carnival.
I mean, it's all about saving money.
Yeah.
But you can't take your own alcohol on, with one exception. On Carnival.
Right.
Correct. You can take a 750 milliliter bottle of wine.
You can do that. Or champagne, sparkling, but no high alcohol volume port wines or anything like that. You can also still take soda in cans. You just can't take any plastic bottles of water or soda.
And it has to be in your
carry-on luggage. Yeah.
And they will look at it.
They will search it, and it must be completely sealed. So do not open your 12 packs of sodas. They will open the 12-pack and search it and make sure you haven't slipped beers into the cardboard. No joke. They actively inspect everything. At least they did in Galveston. They also were inspecting bottles of wine. They were taking them out of the carry-on bags and holding them up and making sure that someone hadn't put a different kind of liquid in it. They can see from the way, like the viscosity and the movement of the liquid if it's really wine.
They usually open it and take a sip just to make sure, right?
They have little shot glasses right there. Little tasters.
You gotta be sure.
Those little sommelier neck things that they hold around their neck.
And this is why I don't work for security.
It is indeed. I felt like I had some more money saving tips for Carnival though.
Well, look at the places where you spend your most money. You spend the most money on your drinks,
right?
On well, let's see,
food, spa.
Well, not so much food. I mean, I guess some on
Specialty
food.
dining.
Spa for sure. Specialty dining.
Yeah.
Excursions, but we're gonna cover excursions.
Let's talk about the spa though for a second for money saving.
Okay.
Because there are 2 times on a Carnival cruise when you can save more money. This is generally true too, you guys, of most cruise lines, but Carnival, I can confirm they're still offering discounts on the first day of the cruise. So I'm talking about boarding day. I'm not talking about day 1, like you wake up the next morning. Day 1, I'm talking about like you get on, you go up for the spa tour. There's nobody getting a treatment that day. If you want to get a manicure, a pedicure, a massage, they're going to give you a discount for the first day. The other thing is they're still definitely doing port day discounts. So those days when you're in port, you're not on a sea day when everybody thinks to go to the spa, they will offer specials. And you can usually, what some people don't know though, is you can ask about them in advance. You don't have to wait until the actual port day. You can call and say, hey, I'm not getting off the ship in Mazatlan. Do you have any specials that day? They know what they're going to offer already, and you can book it early. So take advantage of that. And if they say no, then try back again. Go over there in person and ask them. Now, do you have anything on a port day? They probably do. Usually they do not fully book the spa. They are salespeople. They are trying to get your business. The treatments are very expensive, so they know that when they offer something discounted, people are going to nibble.
Nibble. And they do. So let's move on to the next segment.
Okay.
I kind of had this outlined as like ship secrets, but honestly, you know, the ships are all different. So, you know, you can talk about places to go for better views and stuff like that, but that would be an individual ship thing. So I was trying to think of the biggest secret that people may not know about. And I came up with the Hub app because gone are the days where you didn't need it. Right. You have to have the app.
So you really do need it.
So I think there are some tips that we could cover there about how it's used and why you have to have it.
Sure. Yeah, the Hub app, especially on Carnival, you have to have it for if you have anytime dining or any kind of an arrangement where you don't have set time dining, or if you wish to go to like sea day brunch, you actually have to check in on the app before they'll let you into the dining room. I'll be honest, I think it's annoying to approach the dining room and they'll say, "Oh, have you checked in on the app?" And you're like, "Are you kidding me?"
But that's
and
the way of the world.
It's the way of the
right
world.
now.
You have to launch the app, check in, and then wait for the app to alert you. Then you go and approach the hostess stand and tell them, my table's ready, take me to table 323 or whatever, you know, pops up in the app. So on the bright side, if you have anytime dining, you can check in for dining before you even leave your stateroom. You know, you can, if you expect there's going to be a wait, and there may sometimes be a wait for anytime dining at night, or maybe even for sea day brunch or something, just check in from your room. And then don't make your way down until they tell you your table's ready. Or go to a bar that's near the dining room and wait. That's what a lot of people do, is they go sit at a bar and wait. And that can be a good thing. The app though, geez, gosh, there's so many things. You can look at your folio and make sure that your account charges are accurate and then nobody else's stuff is charged to your account. Also kind of just make sure that everything looks good in there, and that's another thing you can do.
Does it have a chat feature?
I think so, but I think you have to pay more.
You have to pay more.
I never have used it.
Something like $5 a day or
something like that. I've never tried it.
But it's there. You know, somebody might like it. You know, the whole dining room thing in the app is actually kind of funny because typically what happens is you go down there, you forget, and they say, "Did you check in?" And you say no, and you take out your phone and you go beep beep boop boop, and then they say, "Okay, you're ready. You can come in."
And the other thing too, which, you know, this was happening on Carnival Miracle, which honestly surprised me. You needed it to look at the menus in the restaurants.
Yeah.
You could get a hard menu, but most people were just sitting down and using the QR code on their table, and, you know, the menus would pop up on your phone, which I got to tell you, I can't see very well, especially in those dimly lit dining rooms. I don't want to take my reading glasses with me. This is embarrassing to say, but I felt like I could barely see the dang menu on my phone. And I'm really dating myself right now.
You know, I think you're probably not alone there, though.
Oh, gosh.
Because it is difficult to see on the phones.
Yes, especially when it's dark.
Maybe the young kids, they have these developed eyes that are like phone ready.
And then Junior's telling me my My phone is too bright. He's like, your phone's so bright. I'm like, I can't see the menu.
All right, well.
Okay, old people Sherry is, sorry guys, but I need reading glasses, and not one time did I think to take my reading glasses with me to dinner. I don't want to take my reading glasses to dinner.
Well, anyway, that's why.
Another reason why you might use the
you need
app.
The app.
The menus are in the app too, so you can look at them in advance of dinner. That's kind of cool, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
So it made me think of another tip here that is really only applicable one time. On night one, there is going to be a line at the dining room.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed.
Even if you have set time dining.
So
Nobody knows where their
if
table
you
is.
want to avoid that, go like 15 minutes late.
Yeah, 15 minutes late, or book specialty dining.
True.
Maybe
actually there's more advantages to specialty dining on night one.
Yeah, I think they're still offering the free bottle of wine on some ships on night one on Carnival.
In Nick and Nora's.
In the steakhouses, whatever steakhouse it is, Fahrenheit, Nick, usually they do.
Right.
So you might want to just double check beforehand, but I think it's still a perk. And if you don't drink the whole bottle, you can take it with you or, bring it back to another restaurant another night.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
They'll take care of it for you, won't they?
Yeah.
I think they will. So let's move on because we're getting long here, but we can talk about excursions. And I know that you have some good tips in the excursion area here.
For sure. I think with Carnival, if it's your very first cruise ever, and it's your first cruise, maybe not even with Carnival, but just your first cruise ever, you might want to consider booking your shore excursions through Carnival Cruise Line directly so that you're comfortable with what it feels like to get off the ship to go do an activity. But then you're quickly going to build your confidence and realize you don't have to do that. You can actually book with outside vendors, right? You can do your own research. We use Shore Excursions Group pretty much exclusively now for our shore excursions because what they do is when you go to their website, all you do is put your ship in your ship name and your ship date, your sailing date.
This is with Shore
Excursions Group website.
Exclusively.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and it already knows your ports. So you don't have to go onto like TripAdvisor or Viator and search. It tells you this is what you can do in Cozumel, in St. Martin, in St. Thomas, and this is what it costs, and this is the time. Like everything is right there for you. So that's why I do that. And I also like the fact that when you go on a cruise line excursion, unfortunately, the excursions tend to be very crowded. The cruise lines are in it for a profit. They want to try to get as many bums on the bus seat as they possibly can, right? I mean bums like your butt.
Okay, I got it.
Not like homeless people. They want to get as many people in them because they want to make money, right? So unfortunately, they tend to be very crowded. Right? They also tend to charge more than external providers. So you guys can look outside of the cruise line. You do not have to book with the cruise line. But if you're brand new to cruising, if it's your very first time, maybe your first day, book that first excursion through the cruise line if you want to and see what it feels like. But just know that you can book stuff on your own in the future.
So there are things that you should consider when you're thinking about booking on your own.
Yeah.
And here are some reasons to book with Carnival.
Okay.
If there are transportation or known transportation issues where you're going. And when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking of like maybe there's a port where there's scams.
Yeah, right. A really scammy port. Mm-hmm.
There's not set pricing.
Mm-hmm. Or you're traveling really far away from the port.
Right. Mm-hmm. So also if it's something that's really complex, and you're not sure that you're going to be able to get back to it.
Right.
There's no guarantee, obviously.
Yeah. Like the 4-hour bus ride from Le Havre to Paris. Yeah. You don't want to be taking any risks. Although some of the external providers provide a return to ship guarantee too.
They do now, yeah.
They'll fly you to the next port if their provider doesn't get you back in time.
Yeah.
So, it's not just the cruise lines that have the return to ship guarantees anymore.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess another thing I could think of is maybe if there were you were in a port where there could be weather problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
But otherwise, if you're booking on your own, you just want to research them thoroughly.
Yeah. Totally.
And just be aware of the rules about getting back. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I would say also don't book with something that is give yourself some buffer there in terms of time.
Right.
If the ship pulls into port at 9, don't book a 9 a.m.
No.
tour.
Yeah.
Book
Always
like
give
10 or
yourself
11 or
plenty of
something.
time. Yeah. And the same for getting back to the ship on time. Give yourself a good 2-hour buffer time between the end of the tour and the all aboard time.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else? I mean, I'm not sure how Carnival specific this is.
Yeah, I do have a few other things that come to mind with Carnival that Carnival does really well that you shouldn't miss. Right? Specific to it. Number one.
But we're out of the excursion.
Oh, yeah. I'm not
now.
talking
Okay.
just general kind of closing tips. And did you have any other broad stroke categories that you wanted to go over?
No, that's
okay.
it.
That's it.
I just want to give you like an opportunity to wrap up and maybe
Okay.
hit some quick tips or something like that.
So the one thing I would say you don't want to miss on a Carnival cruise is the sail away party. Sail away party is amazing on Carnival. It's not to be missed. Their cruise directors, somebody said it so well on our page a few weeks ago. I don't know who it was, but they said like on lots of cruise lines, cruise directors are great. They're good entertainers. They're a big part of the cruise. But on Carnival cruises, they are the main character. They are like a central part of the cruise experience.
See, that's Gen Z speak right there.
Yeah, but
Main
it's
character.
true. Main character energy. Don't miss the sail away party. It can set the tone for your whole cruise, and you can kind of get a feel for the people on the cruise too. Even if you're just sitting in the back row, standing up on a high deck where you're not going to get dragged out on the dance floor, watch it, go to it, experience it, feel the energy, and have that Carnival experience. I think that's so important. Other things that are specific to Carnival, we already talked about Guy's Burgers, but you guys, if you're going on Carnival, try their signature food. Do the Guy Fieri's Guy's Burgers, do the Pig and Anchor food, try the Blue Iguana Cantina. All those restaurants are actually some of the very best in the cruise industry. So you want to try them. You don't want to miss out on those. I think that's probably a really good idea. Also, just a few packing tips. Don't forget to take magnetic hooks for the metal walls in the staterooms. But I will tell you, some of the old Carnival ships do not have metal walls and doors. So you might be disappointed. You could take a command strip or something, but just know that they may not be, and you might end up putting the magnets back in your suitcase. But again, those are older ships. Taking a reusable cup or a water bottle is always a good idea on a cruise these days, Carnival or not. And you can go up to the buffet and take a cup and refill your, use a clean cup, but you can refill your water bottle there with things like water, lemonade. In the morning, you could even get juice. You could even make an iced coffee out of it, but bring a reusable water bottle so that you can more easily do that. With any cruise, and especially Carnival, definitely travel insurance, guys. Book your travel insurance. Your travel agent can help you. You're probably going to book it through a third party and not through Carnival, but make sure that you do that, especially during a hurricane season, and book your travel insurance super early with Carnival, right when you book that cruise. Also, I would say joining the Facebook group for your sailing is a great way to get inspiration on what people are going to be doing for their excursions. You will see a lot of chatter about ducks in cruise Facebook groups, so just get ready for it. If you love or hate the ducks, get ready for it. It's a big part of it, but people will also be sharing tips on the dining reservations that they plan to make, what days certain things will happen. They'll give you tips and tricks if they're frequent Carnival cruisers. Facebook groups are a wealth of knowledge, and people are usually pretty friendly in them. They usually don't have that group gang up on you yuckiness that some Facebook groups get after a while where everybody's a know-it-all. No, they're friendly Carnival cruisers. They typically want to help you, so don't be afraid. You're not going to get the same kind of vitriolic meanness that you get when you go to, like, say you go to John Heald's Facebook page and you go to the comments section and people are just mean and evil. It's not like that. Usually the Facebook groups for your cruise are just fine. And then you could also consider booking your next cruise while you're on board. Talk to your travel agent and see if they recommend doing that while you're on board, maybe getting like a reduced deposit or some onboard credit. But again, your travel agent can advise you if you should do that, and you should transfer the booking over to them afterwards. But yeah, Carnival's great. Expect to have fun. It's a casual cruise line. Pack casual clothes. Go have fun. Take your fun spirit. Take your childlike spirit and go enjoy. They are the fun ships after all. They really are. And the cruise director staff on Carnival, they really are a step above and a fun, huge integral part of the cruises. So get to know them. A lot of times they'll enjoy talking to you. Oh, and you guys, go to Groove for St. Jude. It's a fundraiser. They do a little dance party. They used to do a walk for St. Jude where they would do like, walk around the decks. But now they do basically like a dance party. You go, you donate $5. They give you a really nice t-shirt. Honestly, it looks to me like it's worth way more than $5. They also have teddy bears for sale, and they even have fancier t-shirts you can pay a little more for. And you're donating to St. Jude, which is a big partner relationship with Carnival. Now that is a partnership I love. I know we've talked, I'm going to be totally dating myself, but we've based on cruise line partnerships, like celebrity partnerships. But these kind of fundraising partnerships are wonderful. And Carnival raises tens of thousands of dollars basically every day on their ships for St. Jude. And it's a wonderful cause. So go to Groove for St. Jude. It's really fun. And it's just another deck party too, right? Like you get to go dance and hang out. That's the one that Junior and I went to.
Yeah.
He got the shirt and we got out there and did all the cruise dances, and it was really fun.
Good job. See?
Thank you, Mr. CruiseTipsTV. Thanks for putting me on the spot and for planning this week's podcast. All right, friends, check out our latest YouTube videos. There's all kinds of good ones. We've had some fun lately on YouTube. We have our latest cruise stateroom organization tips and hacks video that went up. If you haven't seen our Carnival vlog, too, from Carnival Miracle, search Carnival Miracle on our YouTube channel. Also, watch our latest MSC vlog. It's a few months old at this point, but if you missed our Dubai experience, that's a great vlog. All right. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.